Something is happening to people's money right now that goes far beyond the usual complaints about prices being too high or wages being too low. A record 55% of people say their financial situation is getting worse, the highest figure recorded since tracking began, and higher than during the COVID-19 pandemic and the 2008 financial crisis combined. 67% of people say they are more worried about running out of money before they die than about dying itself. 34% of adults, nearly 90 million people globally, say they are either struggling or in full financial crisis right now. These are not numbers from a recession. These are numbers from 2026. And the question worth asking seriously is why? Why are so many people running out of money? Not just people who earn little, but people across income levels, age groups, and countries. And what is actually causing it? Today, we are going to answer that question honestly and completely. Reason 1. The cost of living has outpaced everything. The most immediate and visible reason people are running out of money is that the cost of the things they need most has risen faster than their ability to pay for them. Prices across the world have climbed approximately 25% since 2020. That means something that cost $100 5 years ago now costs $125. But for most people, their income has not risen by 25%. The median household income today is not statistically different from what it was before this period of inflation began. People are being asked to pay significantly more for the same things with roughly the same money they had before. And the mathematics of that situation are simply impossible to sustain indefinitely. It is not just one category of cost that has risen, but everything simultaneously. Housing costs have reached levels in most major cities that consume an enormous portion of take-home pay, often 40 to 50% of monthly income just for rent or mortgage payments. Grocery bills have climbed. Recently, I went for grocery shopping with my nephew, and he wanted ice cream. I was shocked when I saw the price of something that used to cost $10 just a year ago is now $25, over double the price. Energy costs have risen. Healthcare continues its relentless upward trajectory. Transportation expenses have increased. Insurance premiums have gone up. Childcare costs have reached levels that in some countries exceed the annual cost of university tuition. Every single one of these categories has increased, and they have all increased at the same time. What makes this particularly brutal is that these are not discretionary costs. Nobody is running out of money because they cannot resist buying luxury goods. People are running out of money because the fixed, non-negotiable costs of simply existing in 2026, housing, food, energy, healthcare, transport, have expanded to consume the entire available income of a family that would have had money left over 5 years ago. The financial margin that people used to have, the gap between what came in and what went out, has been compressed to nothing for a significant portion of the population. Reason 2. Debt has become a way of life. Debt has basically become a high-interest Band-Aid for a bleeding bank account. Instead of cutting back, most people use credit cards to bridge the gap between what they make and what they want. It's an invisible trap because it feels like a solution in the moment, but you're actually just trading your future freedom to pay for a lifestyle you can't afford today. When income does not stretch far enough to cover costs, the typical response is to borrow. Credit cards, buy now, pay later services, personal loans, overdraft facilities. Each of these products promises to solve a short-term problem, and each of them creates a long-term one. Nearly half of all credit card holders are currently carrying a balance, meaning they are not paying off their cards in full each month. Credit card interest rates average around 20% annually in many countries. At 20% interest, a $5,000 credit card balance that a person makes minimum payments on will take over a decade to pay off and will cost approximately double the original amount in total payments. The debt that was taken on to cover this month's expenses is still being paid for 10 years from now, while new debt is being added on top of it every month. 29% of people currently have more credit card debt than emergency savings. 35% say they feel trapped in a cycle of debt they cannot escape. This is not a fringe situation. This is a mainstream financial reality for a very large portion of the population. And the insidious nature of high-interest debt is that it takes the money that should be building financial security and redirects it permanently to servicing the past. Every dollar paid in interest is a dollar that is not going toward savings, toward investment, toward building any kind of financial buffer against the next unexpected expense. Reason 3, there is no safety net. The third reason people run out of money is that when something unexpected happens, which always does, there is nothing to absorb the shock. 25% of people experienced unexpected transportation costs in 2025. 24% faced unexpected home repairs. 21% dealt with unexpected medical expenses. These are not extraordinary events. They are the normal, predictable unpredictability of ordinary life. But for people with no financial buffer, they are catastrophic. When asked how they would handle an unexpected expense, most people said they would put it on a credit card. Some said they would borrow from family or friends. Some said they would sell something they own. A significant portion said they would use a buy now, pay later service. Very few said they would use savings, because very, very few have meaningful savings to use. The emergency fund, the basic financial buffer that every financial educator recommends, simply does not exist for a large portion of the population. And without it, every unexpected expense becomes a financial emergency that adds to the debt pile and compounds the underlying problem. This creates a cycle that is genuinely difficult to escape. No savings means every unexpected expense goes onto debt. Debt means a portion of every future paycheck goes to interest payments. Paying interest means less money available to build savings. Less savings means the next unexpected expense goes onto debt again. Around and around the cycle goes. And with each rotation, the financial situation becomes slightly more precarious. 88% of people report experiencing some form of financial stress entering 2026. This is not because people are irresponsible. It is because the cycle, once entered, is structurally very difficult to break without deliberate and sustained intervention. Reason 4, retirement is being ignored until it is too late. The fourth reason is longer term, but arguably the most serious. 62% of people worry about not having enough money for retirement. 67% are more afraid of running out of money in old age than of death itself. These are not abstract fears. They are well-founded responses to a real and growing problem. The fact that millions of people are approaching the end of their working lives with retirement savings that are dramatically insufficient to sustain them. The mathematics of retirement saving are unforgiving in one specific way: time. The earlier contributions begin, the more compound growth does the heavy lifting, and the less personal contribution is ultimately required. The later contributions begin, the more personal money must be contributed to reach the same destination, and the more devastating the opportunity cost of the years that were spent not saving. When people are spending every dollar they earn on housing, food, debt payments, and unexpected expenses, there is nothing left to direct toward retirement. The years pass, the compound growth window narrows, and the problem that felt abstract and distant in the 30s and 40s arrives with full force in the 50s and 60s, when there is very little time left to correct it. The longevity dimension makes this even more acute. People are living longer than any previous generation in human history. A retirement that might have needed to last 10 or 15 years a generation ago now needs to last 20 or 30 years for many people. The money has to go further. The healthcare costs in those later years are higher. The financial demands of a long retirement are significantly more than most people plan for, and most people are not planning at all. Reason 5, financial literacy was never taught. The fifth reason sits beneath all the others. Most of us were never taught how money actually works. Not in school, not at home, not anywhere. We were not taught how compound interest works against us when we carry debt and for us when we invest. We were not taught how to read a payslip, how to construct a budget, how to evaluate a loan offer, how to understand what an expense ratio means in a retirement fund, or how to calculate whether we are on track for financial independence. We arrived in adulthood with full exposure to the financial products and systems designed to extract money from us. and zero preparation for navigating those systems in our own interest. This is not a personal failure, but a systemic one. Financial literacy is not taught in most school systems globally, despite the fact that financial decisions are among the most consequential decisions any person makes throughout their life. The result is predictable. People make the decisions that feel right in the moment, buying the car they cannot afford, taking the credit card offer because the monthly payment looks manageable, ignoring retirement savings because it feels abstract, avoiding the difficult budget conversation because it is uncomfortable, without understanding the long-term consequences of those decisions until the consequences have already arrived. What can actually be done? Understanding why people run out of money is not an academic exercise. It is the first step toward making different decisions. And the path forward, while it requires genuine effort and often genuine sacrifice, is not mysterious. The first step is confronting the actual numbers, not the approximate sense of things, but the precise reality. Income in, expenses out, debt owed, savings held. What I personally do is budget. I minimize my expenses. I don't go out to eat as restaurants have become expensive. You can spend up to $30 for a meal in a restaurant. That is money you can spend on buying and cooking food for up to a week, depending on the number of people you live with. You can stop or reduce the number of streaming subscriptions. Some people spend up to $50 to $80 per month on subscriptions alone. You don't need to spend that much on streaming subscriptions because you don't get to watch every show on every platform, unless you are a movie reviewer or critic and get paid for that. The second step is eliminating high-interest debt as aggressively as possible, not the minimum payment, the maximum possible payment. Because every month of high-interest debt is a month of financial bleed that makes every other financial goal harder to achieve. The maths of paying 20% interest on any balance make it almost impossible to build meaningful wealth simultaneously. The debt has to go first. The third step is building even a basic emergency fund, even if it starts at 1 month of expenses rather than 3 to 6, before aggressively investing. Because without a financial buffer, every unexpected expense undoes the investing progress immediately. The fourth step is starting retirement contributions at whatever level is currently possible and increasing them with every pay rise. The time that passes while waiting for the perfect moment to start is the most expensive time in the entire retirement saving journey. And the fifth step is continuing to learn, understanding how money works. Genuinely understanding it changes the quality of every financial decision made for the rest of a person's life. You don't have to buy every new iPhone or the latest Samsung phone. If you have a functioning phone and everything is working, that is all you need. Don't fall for the pressure to impress your friends or the need to fit in. It will hurt your bank account. You see, people are not running out of money because they are lazy or careless. They are running out of money because the system is complex. The financial education never arrived, and the costs have risen faster than most people could adjust to. Understanding that is not an excuse. It is the beginning of doing something about it. Click here to watch our video on 5 money mistakes people make in their 30s, because many of the reasons people run out of money begin with decisions made in that critical decade.